the thing that I think makes Korea a bit different from other countries is how light they are on punishing these violent, hard crimes. So for example, everything that I just read, everything that he has confessed to, he's only facing 11 to 14 years in jail for this. What the f? What's up, idols? It's CC Lesson 3. Welcome back to my channel. So, a lot has happened since last we sat down and talked. July was rough, okay? If you guys saw the last video that I did sitting down talking with you, then you know that. But also, I caught COVID for the first time. Oh my God. I don't know if you can hear my voice, but still not ideal. What's crazy is I only had like heavy symptoms for 4 days, and then I tested negative like last Saturday. And I had no symptoms Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. But Friday I woke up with this cough and it has not gone away since. So I'm sorry if I sound congested and my voice is a little strained. So it's August 1st. It's a fresh start. July is yesterday. I'm feeling more optimistic about uploading schedules and what is coming up for the rest of the year for me. For this video, I really wanted to talk with you guys about an alarming trend that I've noticed in Korea, not only this year, notably in last year, but in recent years. And in regards like the safety of women, the violent crime that just got people to finally start talking about this and taking it seriously, and the leniency that tends to exist on hard violent crime here in Korea. Before we get into this video, please follow me on Instagram. I post so much more there than I do here on YouTube. I post a lot of my stories about my day-to-day life, random things that we're doing. Like the other day we went rock climbing, we played volleyball on the beach, and I've posted about that. People often ask me for like recommendations for places where they should come when they visit, and when I go out to eat or to a bar or a club or a gym or whatever attraction, I usually tag it so you guys can save it if you want to later. Also, please subscribe if you haven't already and turn on the notifications because I got a lot coming up this month and I'm really excited about. If you guys want to keep up with the Jeju vlogs, the upcoming Seoul vlogs, and the Thailand vlogs. A lot of y'all ask about my boyfriend, and I mentioned this before the summer started. He's in Japan, I'm in Korea. A lot of people think we broke up because we haven't been able to see each other because of COVID, travel restrictions and stuff. He can't come here, I can't go to Japan, but we are going to Thailand at the end of the month, so we're gonna have fun vlogging that as well. So without further ado and all of that out of the way, let's get into what this video is about. So I felt inspired to make this video because something really alarming happened on a campus in Korea, July 15th. I'm just gonna read this verbatim. The man, only described by police as being a first-year college student in his 20s, was initially taken into custody by Incheon Police Precinct on Friday as a person of interest in the death of a woman at the, I can't pronounce this very well, I think it's Michuhol campus in Inha University, where both were students. He's being detained on suspicion of assault and police believe the victim, who was also in her 20s, was drinking with the suspect just before her death. The two were enrolled in the same online summer class at the university and are believed to have been on campus the day of the victim's death to study an exam. CCTV footage from the campus security showed the suspect half carrying the victim into a university building around 1:30 a.m. on Friday. The victim was discovered by a passerby on the ground inside the campus at 3:49 a.m., bleeding profusely from her nose, head, and mouth. She had no heartbeat when found, and she was declared dead shortly after arriving at the hospital. The male student's mobile phone was discovered inside the building. He entered with the victim, leading police to hone in on him as a suspect. Police believe the suspect, SA, I gotta abbreviate it because of YouTube, the woman, and pushed her from the 3rd floor, causing her death. A yellow police cordon currently seals off the staircase inside the building. The suspect has already admitted to a significant portion of the allegations against him, according to a police official who spoke to Yonhap. Based on the articles of clothing, including underwear and trousers that were discovered only a few feet away from the victim's body, police are currently investigating whether the suspect also attempted to destroy evidence of SA. Police have referred to the victim's body for an autopsy by the National Forensic Service to determine the exact cause and circumstances of her death. So, the reason this stood out to me, because look, I know crime happens everywhere, and I know I preach about how safe it is in Korea because statistically, yes, you are so much more safer in Korea than in any other country. Korea and Japan are like the top safest major countries. Kai is an attention whore. What are you doing? Kai, what are you doing? So yeah, I preach about the safety here, but that does not mean I don't want you guys to be aware that things still happen. The reason I really wanted to talk about this, because again, crime happens everywhere. the thing that I think makes Korea a bit different from other countries is how light they are on punishing these violent, hard crimes. So for example, everything that I just read, everything that he has confessed to, he's only facing 11 to 14 years in jail for this. Now, had this been America under the same circumstances, he'd get 25 to life. To get 11 to 14 years with a likely chance of probation and parole, what the f? And the reason I wanted to talk about this is because after I've read that story, I kind of started to look more into it, and the stats are not looking good, especially with violent crime against women. I'll link the rest of this article in the description box below because I'm just trying to point out the highlights. I don't want this video to be too long. But this article goes on to say, is Korea too lenient? And they point out to a similar case that happened last summer. So they say last summer something very similar happened. It was a man in his 20s, except this time the victims were middle school children. The thing is, the Daejeon justice system gave him a suspended sentence, which means he walked away free. He did not serve jail time. It was 1 count of R and 2 counts of molest. So basically the court took into consideration that he had no prior criminal record. He didn't inflict serious damage to the victims. He reached a settlement with the victims, and he wrote 75 letters of apology to the victims during the trial. This article says, the law states that such violence is subject to at least 5 years in prison, and the Sentencing Commission guidelines recommend at least 3 to 5 years in prison. After public outcry following the initial ruling, the appellate, I hope I said that right, appellate, like Court of Appeals, I guess, court last week sentenced him to 5 years in prison. So he went from getting a suspended service to actually doing 5 years because the public said, that's not okay. So the main point of this video, I'm just trying to like point out, is there's a trend. More recently, with these SA-related crimes, the sentences have been shorter and less harsh than in decades and years prior. In convictions that carried jail time, the average length of the term was 45.2 months in 2019, down from 61 months in 2015. So you can see as time goes on, the punishment gets less severe for the same violent crime. Also, I'm really curious to know, do you guys think that stronger punishments correlate to less crime? Because in this article, they also go on to say that one of the professors at one of the universities, I'm sorry, I'll link the article, but he said that he interviewed all these inmates, and of the 33 people he interviewed, none of them considered the punishment before they committed the crime. None of them were like, I could murder this person, but dang, I'm not trying to go away for life. None of them thought about it. So I'm curious, like, do you think there's a correlation with that? I gotta be honest, I don't know about too many notable cases of like violence in Korea because it's just so rare. I remember there was a story in Gangnam with like an incel who followed a random girl to the bathroom and did not know her, just hated women. So I remember hearing about that. And I remember in 2020, it became a big deal that this man who violently and horrifically assaulted this little girl who was 8 was only sentenced to 12 years in jail, and he got out in 2020. Outcry nationwide, they wanted him to go back to jail. They wanted to know where he was at all times. They went to his house, like they were not having it because they didn't feel safe with their kids being in the neighborhood. And the reason he got such a light sentence was because he was drunk, and they blamed it on the fact that he was drinking. And they said he wouldn't have done that unless he was drinking. But like, fam, you think he's not gonna have another drink again? So a lot of people fighting for like justice and equality on this front, they attribute this to the whole legal system being not as sympathetic and understanding to women issues. Yeah. And then one thing that really disturbs me is a lot of these times when these people commit these crimes, we don't even get to know their identity. And then a lot of people here make the argument that, like, you know, look at countries like the US, for example, where crime is rampant and the punishments are just as rampant. Like, they're very harsh and severe. And they say, well, do harsh sentences actually reduce the likelihood of this violent crime or these types of crimes being committed? And I can't say for sure that that is the case, but one thing that it does do is you can make sure that person is not on the streets and likely to reoffend. Also, I'm American. Well, I'm most familiar with the law in the States. I'm curious, like, based on your country and where you're from, like, what would the punishments for crimes like this be there? Because I know it's a common debate in America where we talk about how harsh people are convicted for things and punished for things, and how like wrongful imprisonment is such a massive problem in the States. Korea seems to be weak on it. America's strong on it. I'm curious what it's like where you guys are, so let me know in the comments. So basically, I don't want to make this like too statistical and too technical. I just wanted to talk with y'all about this because I feel like the main problem with Korea's leniency towards these violent crimes is they're way too easy and way too quick to make excuses for these criminals. They blame it on the alcohol. They blame it on it was a one-time thing. They blame it on it was a lapse of judgment. The woman gets the blame so often, and that's worldwide. We always get blamed when bad shit happens to us. It just worries me because in a time when they have like one of the most misogynistic presidents like ever, who's also very unpopular right now, I'm not surprised. I made the video about him a few months ago. I knew it was going to be a disaster. He's not very well liked at all right now. Like, I think his approval rating's in the 30s. Nobody likes him. He is trying to abolish like women's services and protection and making no strides towards equality or promises or even campaigning towards that. So to see that coinciding with the fact that when these violent crimes happen against women, the criminals who commit the act are getting like, they're getting fucking suspended sentences, 11 to 14 years for someone and then pushing them to their death. Again, we don't know for sure if that's what happened, but according to the news, he has confessed to a lot of the allegations against him. We don't know if she fell because she was drunk. We don't know if he pushed her, but we do know that he pushed her. So that is it. I don't want this video to be too long. This is just something I want you guys to keep in mind for when you come here, and just stay on your toes. It's a safe place, but that does not mean to let your guard down completely. So thanks for watching if you did. Remember to like, comment, share, and subscribe, and I will see you guys next time. Annyeong.